What is up, guys? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Turbos or the Canoe Crew. Still yet to be decided. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest. He goes by the name of Masked Wolf. He has one song that has absolutely blown up on the internet. I'm pretty sure it's the biggest song on the internet at the moment of all time. It's up there just about. His name is Harry. He is the Masked Wolf, the creator of Astronaut in the Ocean. How are you, Harry? Or how are you, Wolf?
Oh, whatever you want to call me, it's fine. I'm very well, mate. Very well. Glad to have randomly connected back with you. If you don't know, I've had Brandon on Facebook for a long time, and I randomly stumbled upon SuperCoach Experience, and I was like, as soon as I heard your name, I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure I know this guy. So I've been speaking to him, and I said, I'll jump on, go through my team reveal, see, and I'm sure Brandon will have some things to fix in my team, but that's fine.
Well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through your team reveal, but firstly, I guess just randomly, SuperCoach. Yep. You stumbled across me in SuperCoach. It kind of happened the same with me with you when you blew up with your rap music. I was like, hang on a minute. I've got this guy on Facebook. Actually, I think I know more about your history than you think I do. I was actually in the rap scene back in the day. Jay Daniels was one of my good mates. You on a track with him with Lazy J and Carter, all them guys. And you were known as New Flows back then. I
was, yes. Something I don't like to bring up.
Oh, you don't like to bring up?
No, it's not. No, I'm Gene up. It's more just like, I think every well-known rapper has had a few different rap names before they've made it big.
Yep.
Mine was New Flows, unfortunately.
Well, you've come a long way, and I had you on Facebook when you actually the song Astronaut in the Ocean was blowing up, and you just randomly put online that quit my day job today, and the song had already had like hundreds of millions of streams, and you're still working your 9-to-5 job. How did that come about? And
not many people know that, but when the song had like over 100 million streams, I was still working 5 days a week. I still hadn't been paid for anything, hadn't been signed to a label. So I was kind of sitting there 9 to 5 being like, my song's blowing up. Why am I still here? But the reason why was I felt really bad for my boss because he'd helped me a lot. He always supported my music, and I didn't want to just up and leave because we were a very small business. And it was his business, and I didn't want to be like, I'm quitting. You need to find someone in 2 weeks. So I kind of stayed there for a couple of months, and it just got to a point where the label and everyone was just like, yo, you can't be working during this period. You got to like get to America, do this, do that. And yeah, that's basically what happened.
That's crazy. You're based in the Gold Coast at the moment? What is that like as an artist like yourself? Like, I assumed all the artists in the rap scene would have like dipped and gone to America straight away.
No, as you can see, I've still held my Australian accent very, very well. Unlike some other artists that maybe we know of, but I always loved Australia, and I grew up in Sydney. I played league. I played for La Perouse. I played for school. So like I've always loved Australia, and I honestly could never see myself living in LA. I'm just not. That's not my thing. Australians, we're very laid back. I'm a very, very big like introvert now after everything that's happened like with music and stuff. So I'm literally at home 80% of the week. So yeah, I'm very blessed to obviously be able to do that. But Gold Coast is just cheaper. I've got a house. I've got my wife. I've got my kid on the way. Buying, a 1-bedroom apartment in Sydney for $4.8 million just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah.
100%. So what does Monday to Friday look for you at the moment?
I still do like a lot of I do a lot of sessions at the moment with people. I am Christian, so I delve in that area too. So I'm like balancing like both with artists, and obviously I'm a bit of a gamer, not gonna lie. So I like playing card games like not Yu-Gi-Oh, but another version called Magic the Gathering. And I like gaming a lot, but obviously that's going to drop off once my kid comes out. So yeah, generally it's just songwriting, gaming, and playing basketball.
That's awesome. I guess before we get on to the SuperCoach, just one more thing. Astronaut in the Ocean is not your only song. I've actually,
Definitely not.
I think I like, one of my favorites that I listened to for months was Say So. I thought that was pretty.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say the one with Bring Me the Horizon, because you've got like a bit of a rock vibe to you.
Yes, I did listen to that one as well. The Bebe Rexha collab was very good too. And Paper Planes was a song, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I pretty much put all of your songs from your album into my playlist, and I know every single one of them from that album. So yeah, you're a real talented artist, so congratulations on how far you've come, and go check him out.
Thank you, sir.
If you are listening. But let's get to SuperCoach, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
we're going to do
a lot of changes have been made already. It's not even a preseason.
When you sent me your first draft, you claimed that it was going to be a top 10 side, and you've changed it multiple times since. So
yeah, so now it's a top 5.
All right, so let's get over to it. Let's change this layout. So you're here. You've got $49,000 back in the bank, starting at hookers. You've started with Reed, Marnie, and Pete Mamazelos. What's the thought process there?
Okay, so I basically have been looking at the hookers a lot, and I think a lot of people will go Pete and Sandon Smith and just kind of like whack in 2 cheapies, where I think that can be a bit dangerous. I think last season when you didn't have Appy, and that was kind of like and the hand situation, you kind of got caught out. But the one thing I did last season was go really, really cheap, and I think it hurt me a bit. Also not being aggressive enough in trades. But I mean, I just think Bulldogs don't have an easy draw, but they have games where I think a lot of points will be scored. And I think Reed has one of the best, if not in the sort of top 3 of base stats for hookers. I did check it up. It was quite high, but I think he was like over 40 base, which I think is just really good. He's in a very solid team that is only most probably going to be even better. They're most probably a premiership favourite this year with Storm. I do think this year will be the year that Panthers drop off as well. And, other hookers like Harry Grant, finally, this might be the year. I mean, I say that every year, and then Nathan Cleary proves me wrong. And I just think they're going to build a lot of momentum, and I think Reed is going to be more consistent than Robson, because I'm a Cowboys fan. And I just think that Robson, even though it's his last year, Cowboys have become a bit weaker. We've lost Felt. We lost Holmes, who was our kicker. Even though he wasn't the best of defenders, he's a very good attacking player. So I just think, like, I was looking at hookers being like, how can I be as stable as possible but also generate cash through the reserve hooker? And I just sort of came to this conclusion.
I do really like Reed, Marnie. Obviously, we're fresh off a hooker analysis podcast, and you did say you listened.
I know you were talking about Wade Egan a lot, which I was close to doing.
You know what? The news of Tohu Harris retiring over the last week, I think I'm completely off him now. And I'm looking more towards Blake Brayley at the moment. But Reed Marnie is also on that same tier. You did say 40 base points. He pretty much averages 50 tackles a game. It's just his negative stats that bring him down quite a lot. Early on in the season, he tends to have that niggle out of his game a lot. So I do like him, and I think he's a proven hot starter. I think, the trend's going to happen again where people just flock to him by round 3.
I think, like, him having, like, just looking at his stats quickly, having a base over 40 in the first 7 games is pretty crazy. And they did versus Sydney and Melbourne and Sharks and Parramatta, which on a good day, they're all very good teams.
Yeah.
And that's why I like him a lot. He just, no matter who they verse, he kind of just holds his points. Yeah.
And their first 5 this year, St. George, Gold Coast, Parramatta, Cronulla, Newcastle. And then they have the bye in round 6. I feel like round 6 is probably the cutoff mark for if you're buying someone early in the season. That's probably the cutoff mark for the bye. That any earlier, and it's a bit of a worry. But I think by round 6, you can probably cover yourself by then. And even with Pete Mamazelos as your backup, I think he's going to be pretty handy as it is anyway.
Exactly. And I do, as we get down into the team, I do have like a semi backup for this as well. So,
all right. And Pete Mamazelos, obviously, probably just the number one hooker cheapie going, you reckon?
Yeah. I think definitely he's most probably getting 80, right? I don't really see, if not, it's like 60 plus. I don't really see who else you'd really have over him. Especially in the hooker spot.
Yep.
Because halves and the 5/8s are really tough positions, I feel like this year, especially if Cleary gets injured, it only makes him like the most suitable in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's move on to your front row.
I'm scared.
I'm very excited about this because this is we're studying for this at the moment for our next podcast.
Okay,
so.
why can't I do this? What's going on here? Let me do it like this. I don't know why it's not scrolling. Is that okay for you if I did that?
Yeah, that's all right. I can see.
I think it's because we're on screen share. It's not letting me scroll the screen.
Oh, right. No,
yeah, weird.
That's cool. Can you zoom?
Terrell Taylor May. Sorry, mate. That's not happening. Terrell May. I think this is a pretty easy one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure if you are going to be, I'm pretty sure the winner of SuperCoach, whoever it is, will start with this.
Yep.
This forward. Nothing really much to talk about. He's gonna get huge minutes, a lot more. He's gonna be consistently. I think I'm curious to know how much offloads he's going to get. I think West Tigers have a really strong first 5 or 6 for memory, and I think that's going to make him someone that, again, people might just flock to him again that didn't choose to pick him because he's really talented, and not only can he offload, he can pass the ball really well for a big front rower. I think it's one of the most blatantly easiest picks you can do at the moment.
He was my first pick, to be honest. Even without offloads, like his base is just crazy. His work rate is nuts, and he was coming off the bench last year and not even getting the minutes and still scoring points. He averaged about, I would say, 9 points in offloads all year, which isn't that massive. So if he gets given a license, it's just so good. He averages 80 over 50-minute games, and he's priced at a 60. So I think it's a no-brainer for sure.
Yeah, I just think with where I'm going with my team, I want there to be a stable player in each position besides second row. That's where I sort of go for a lot of cheapies and a lot of cash cows, but I think like the other player I will talk about, because I know we were going to sort of talk about breakout players. I think it's Lindsay Smith for Panthers. I think, although I don't think he's going to be as good, he's going to be very interesting, and I also think he'll be a very stable pick. I think he's about 5'10" for memory, or maybe a bit. He's definitely lower than Terrell May. Is it worth it to just do that instead of Terrell May? Most probably not, but I also think he could be a big surprise, especially with what's happening with Penrith in the front row.
Yeah, 100% agree. Coming off an Australian tour as well, I think there's no confidence does massive wonders for people. Yeah,
and I mean, at the end of the day, I would, if it was me and I wasn't playing 3-gun fullbacks, I would be going Terrell May, Lindsay Smith as my front rowers and hoping to generate some cash and then possibly trade down, make money, go big on centers, fullbacks later on. But as you see, when you get to my second row forwards, you'll know that I have 3-gun fullbacks.
Well, I did notice that you didn't have a second front row forward gun. Explain, talk me through Cohen Hess, because I've seen a bit of chat about him, but I don't know if I have the balls to do it.
I mean, he's not that expensive. I mean, if I say to you, would you rather go Zach Labard or Cohen Hess? And Zach Labard, I think, is 389,000 for memory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a huge amount of risk for someone that actually was a very vital part of the Cowboys team. He is basically, in my opinion, he's way better than JT now. He got a very unfortunate injury. This guy could be, in my opinion, Hess could be one of the biggest cash cows this season. As long as he doesn't get injured, he's really going to put in solid numbers. I don't think he's going to be, again, Terrell May. He's not going to be like AFB, these type of numbers, but he's going to be someone that could easily make you 100 to 200,000 if he just doesn't get injured. And I think Cowboys are only going to get more fluent in terms of there's just going to be a lot of high-scoring games with them, and they're still going to score points. That's what Cowboys are as of recent, which I don't like, but their defense sucks a lot, but their offense is great. So he's going to get a lot of tackles. He's going to play a lot of offense, and I think he's just going to generate a lot of cash.
Awesome. I do like it. I think there are a lot of options there, but I think you've got to take risks like this because everyone can't have the same side, obviously. Corey Horsburgh is your next one, 355,000. I like him a lot too. What's the thought there? You think he's going to get a start?
I think it actually doesn't matter whether he does or doesn't, to be honest. I just think it's another easy option for him, for another player to make you money. And again, the reason why I haven't gone to like stable top tier or really high front row forwards is one, because of the 3-gun fullback situation, because of the flex position now, and two, because I kind of emphasized it way too much last season. I remember I traded in for Flegler. It kind of went sour. And I think, in all honesty, like maybe front row forwards and like going double hookers is just a waste of money. There's just, you can see from last season, centers, fullbacks, kind of halfbacks is where you want to be to make points. And if you can make money, and I think this season especially, where you're going to make most of your money is from your front rowers and your second row forwards. That's what it's looking like. Centers looks abysmal, but I just think, especially with Hunt as well, trials will tell a lot. I mean, Ricky is Ricky, right? So, I mean, trials will tell you a lot, but for Canberra it won't sometimes.
Yeah.
But I just think he's a really strong player. He basically just does what needs to be done, and then he's going to make you money, and that's what you're looking for in SuperCoach at the start. Yeah,
the thing with Corey Horsburgh is if he's named at front row to start round one, I still don't trust Ricky to give us what we want. But if Corey Horsburgh's attitude is 100% in, then I don't see why he can't average more than what he's on at the moment. He's actually priced at a 36, and he averaged closer to 44 last year. So he's underpriced based on last year. So I think there's already value there, and even if he was priced from his form from last year, he's still undervalued. So, just brings him down.
They also likely should be a better team than last year as well, right? Like they had I think they had a really good end to the season for memory.
Yeah.
Canberra. Yeah, I just think
they beat the Roosters and Penrith.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that doesn't change a lot. I mean, but if he's getting, I would dare say 40 to 50 minutes, you're pretty much locking him in. I think.
I think so too. There's definitely value there. Royce Hunt, obviously the price is tempting. I've looked into it, and it doesn't read well. Are you concerned at all?
I think Royce Hunt is just wait for the trials.
Yeah.
Wait for preseason. the problem is again, if you are doing 3-gun fullbacks, you are going to find yourself in these situations where you just need to slam someone in that's going to get some minutes and kind of forget about them.
Yep.
I mean, I know a lot of us are praying for people just to slip through and come through these new players that we haven't been talking about, but I just think for the price he is, if he gets good time in the preseason, again, he's 100K cheaper than Horsburgh. It's like, what are you really losing from it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it is a risk, yes. You don't know what's going to happen. But again, if he gets time in preseason, you're basically just going, I'm going to plug him in front row forwards. I'm going to hope, for me personally, Terrell May, Cohen Hess just do their numbers. He can sit there and just make a bit of money and just basically I don't have to waste a trade.
100%. And like moving over to the Tigers, obviously a more senior role in the side. Mm-hmm. So very excited to see Royce Hunt go out this year. Did you actually get to watch a lot of footy?
Yeah, I watched a lot last season. Before that, not really.
Yep.
Very hard to watch NRL when you're like overseas.
Yep. Did you find?
Yeah,
did you find?
I follow the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Did you find SuperCoach like really added to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're watching a Tigers game and your only player is basically Appy.
Or anyone versing the Tigers, you're in for a big one.
Yeah, like I just think like fantasy just brings it. Like I don't bet anymore. I used to.
Yeah,
that would be another way to like make you really want to hone in on a game. But like when I have fantasy and I'm like yelling for it to get like for Harry Grant to score from like just go for it, Harry from the hooker position 2 meters out. It's like you just get into it more.
Go yourself. All right, let's move over to the second rows. Second rows is pretty big every year.
It's going to be bad.
And I'm a bit scared of it. I've just seen the first look. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad. So your back row is, let's call your back row the back roasters. Because
I will say that it looks very bad. This is going to be my cash generation spot. This is literally going to be whoever I find in. I think I will definitely be taking out either Butcher or Wong. I don't think all of these three are going to stay besides White. So I think it's kind of a battle between Wong and Butcher, but I think one of these two will definitely make you money.
Yep.
Would I start with these three? Most probably not.
Yep.
I think Fini Fuiaki again is also maybe a bait pick. I'm not really like 100% on Dolphins, but again, they don't have a bad start to the season. I'm really, really interested in Schuster. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will some people might just say that's a no-go zone for them. But I think under Wayne Bennett, I think he's going to have more time to settle in to a team and have good coaching around him and kind of veer away from, what the background has had for him. And again, 265, very cheap.
Yep.
One guy is also, I think it's Charlie Geimer. Is that how you pronounce?
Yeah, Charlie Geimer.
Yeah. If he gets minutes, he is going to make you money for sure. He's a really good player. They lost RCG as well, right?
Yep.
So I'm very big on Hopgood as well. I think Hopgood's like a very sneaky player that he's also quite low in his price. I think he's unders, especially with RCG going out. I think he's going to be doing a lot for Parramatta. Mm-hmm. But I just can't afford him. So my initial plan is I'm just trying to cash gen here, and I want to get up to Hopgood or whoever the target is in 2RF. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cash gen here. I think I'm praying in trials I can find someone to replace that is more solid, because I think it's going to be a battle. Roosters, my opinion, they're going to be just a bait team this season. I really don't think besides the 2RF, there's much there besides maybe I think it's Toya you were talking about, and also I think Billy
Smith.
White, is it?
Billy Smith.
Smith, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not touching Tedesco. I think like the Roosters are going to have a really hard first half of the season, especially with their injuries, and they're not going to score as many points. But yeah, I know this looks really bad, but it alleviates a lot of stuff that's going to actually make me more points in the bottom half of my team.
Yeah, so I'm looking at your side now. You've got Nafahu White, Sil Wong, Egan Butcher. For the audio listeners, Fini Fuiaki, Josh Schuster, and Charlie Geimer. I guess with the Roosters, first of all, Nafahu White, I love it. And I also love how you got him in second row to fit in Corey Horsburgh, because a lot of teams I see have Nafahu White and no Corey Horsburgh. So I like that double up. I think they're both genuine cheapies. I think Egan Butcher, Sil Wong, one of them is going to come off the bench and play middle and play good minutes for that, Terrell May type role. So I love one of them, but I guess how do we know who's going to be? Because they could legit both be named on the bench, and we don't know which one is going to benefit most from it. Is it the more versatile one in Sil Wong, or is it Butcher, who they've invested in for a long time?
I think one thing I'd most probably guarantee is there will definitely be an issue for me to address in trades in my second row forwards for one of these things, but I'm willing to take that hit to make the cash.
Yep.
And maybe we get, who knows, maybe one of them, like obviously knock on wood, it doesn't happen. One of them gets injured and it makes my life so much easier, and other people's life that may have a similar game plan to me. But I'm willing to survey it, be in it already, and then trade out and do what needs to be done.
Sweet. Josh Schuster, Ewan Aiken's just been injured, so I think that opens up a spot for him. So if he's named, I think he's just a genuine cheapie. Charlie Geimer, 2 games last year, 40 minutes, 40 points in both games. So considering he scored 40 in both games, it should be 400K. But because he only played 2 games, he's bottom dollar, 232,000. So I think the second row, if it falls your way, it looks really good. But I'm interested to see the second half of your team, because I'm looking here and it looks like you're prioritizing cash generation. And my philosophy of SuperCoach is to score lots of points straight up. Obviously, you're going to have your cash gen, but I'm very interested to see the second half of your side.
Yeah, I will mention one thing. I think a very good pick in second row forward as well, providing that he plays, because I think he's under a very minor injury, is Jai Arrow.
Yep.
Especially with the injuries to Souths at the moment.
Yep.
He could... I honestly, I can't remember exactly. I think he's in the 400s, but that could be way off.
Yeah, 497. He's available in second row and front row.
Yeah.
I guess he's coming into the season not injured for the first time in a long time. And he, Cameron Murray's under an injury cloud. Ewan Aiken's under an injury cloud. So, he'll be relied on nice and early.
If Jai Arrow does well in trials and I'm seeing a very solid PPM, I will make a way for him to be in my team, because Souths, again, I think their draw is not exactly easy, but not exactly hard. I'm pretty sure, are they versing Dragons at some point early? I could be wrong on that, but I think, again, with the Murray injury, we don't know about Latrell in the first round, but a lot of weight is going to fall onto Jai Arrow. And I think if he plays big minutes, he could be someone you stream for the rounds where, Murray and that doesn't come back, and then you trade into someone a bit heavier after that, though they heal from injuries.
Yeah, so the Rabbitohs have the Dolphins, St. George, Cronulla, then Penrith, Roosters, and the Cowboys. So I actually think besides Penrith, that's a really good draw.
Yeah, I think Roosters are going to give up a lot of points in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Again, Penrith, yes. If they rest easy on Cleary, we don't know how they're going to play with the new additions and the subtractions. I think Jai Arrow is a very big sleeper in my opinion.
I tend to agree with you. He's not someone who is my style of play, but
what's his base? Out of curiosity, do you have his base there?
I don't have his exact base here, but
I'll find it here. I'm actually really, really curious. When he was playing,
so
his base was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's just say in 10 games, he was going, only 2 of them he went under 40. 3 of them he went under 40 base. And I think one of them he only played 26 minutes.
Yeah, so
he's playing 80 minutes.
Yeah, so he played 26 minutes and 52 minutes. The rest are, one is 65. The rest is 80 pretty much. That's crazy. I didn't realize he actually played that many minutes, eh?
Oh, yeah. That's what I mean. And he's going to have to play the minutes.
Yeah. PPM.
I've made you think about Jai Arrow now, haven't I? Yes, I have.
Maybe for front row. Well,
that's the thing, though. He also has the jewel. That's huge. I think we undervalue having that a lot. In SuperCoach, but anyway, keep him on your radar. And I would definitely,
especially having guys like Nafahu White, Corey Horsburgh, like if any of these guys don't work out, it's so valuable being able to shift them up to front row if you need to sell them in case a genuine cheapie comes along. All right, this is the boring stuff. Let's get to the exciting stuff. Let's go to your halves.
Hey, Jai Arrow is not boring.
I actually like the Jai Arrow chat. Not too bad.
All right, well, let's start with Hines. So I think he is immensely underpriced now.
Yep.
I think that first and foremost, I didn't start with Hines last season, and it was one of the best things I did because I think he had a horrible, horrible start.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were giving me crap for it in Discord, but I think Sharks again are going to be a very big, most probably in the top 3. I'm definitely putting them in the top 4 this season in my predictions of who I think will be there.
Yep.
The addition of AFB is only going to make them roll forward even more, which is going to make Hines' job much easier. I think 735 is like, is he really going to get to a price under that?
No, not really.
That's where my thinking was. And I needed a stable halfback. I didn't want to go Cleary because it just was too much money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think Hines is a very, very obvious halfback pick. I think a lot of people are going to take risks in the halfback, and I didn't want to do that because it can really burn you. And my risks were in the second row forwards enough that I just wanted to be stable on the halfback choice of Hines.
I guess being stable would be Nicho Hines and Nathan Cleary. You're not tempted by that?
No, not at all.
No.
I think Cleary starts off a bit slow generally. Also, they've come off a premiership where they're not going to rush him back if he does have a little like niggle injury. If he doesn't start round 1, which I actually think is a high chance he won't, because we know how good Penrith can be. I don't think they're going to worry about going in with the mindset of we need every win.
Yeah.
It's just so much money. I think like I would rather want to create cash and get to that point where Cleary sort of kicks in and then he's in the momentum and you're like, okay, this is when I start looking at Cleary. But again, this is another risk where I think a lot of people might have Cleary and Hines or Hines and someone rather than Smith as your backup halfback at 237,000. But again, as you can see, like with what I do, I try and have one stable player and then in the reserves have cash gen. That's what I like to do. But as you get to like centers and fullbacks, that changes a lot because that's where my points come in. But I think Hines, again, if you're just looking at Hines as by himself, solo, 735,000 for what Hines is capable of, in my opinion, is just like ridiculous. Like that guy can drop a 140 easily, and Sharks are going to score more points.
100%. Every year, Nicho Hines is always above 900,000. And the question is always, do we captain him the first week or do we not? Like, everyone's still got him in their side over 900K. I think had a bit of a down year last year for his standards, but, still averaged 75.
I mean, it wasn't that bad because, I think I got him in against Souths in round 6, and then he went 82, 142, 160, 97, and then 114.
Yeah, so you got him at the right time.
Yeah, I didn't want to play. I took a risk because they had a buy in round 5, and I thought if he plays horrid, drops price, and then pick him up after the buy, it's going to be perfect.
Yep.
And I also think if they were going to get rid of Hines, it was to be last season.
Yep.
After the season, because Daniel Atkinson to me is their pairing with Trindle, or his pairing with Trindle is really, really strong.
Yeah.
But I expect a bit of a bounce back from Hines this season, especially with the team Sharks have. So
I think so too. I think more attacking ball this year. I think there's going to be less for him to worry about. I love Nico Hines. Yes, he plays Penrith in round 1, but they're also playing in Vegas, so I don't hate it. I think the ball's usually thrown around a bit more at Vegas, so I guess we'll see how that goes. Sandon Smith at halfback. Obviously, cash generation, good. He'll play 80 minutes of 5'8", potentially goal kick. You weren't tempted to have him at hooker?
No, because I like having a stable player.
Yep.
And having Mahoney or Reid Mahoney and then Mamazelis, I think is just strong. And if something does happen, I've got backup there. I've got something I can do if need be. If Mahoney gets injured, I can trade Mahoney, get 200, 300K, whatever it may be, swing him back up, and then just say, these are my hookers, make money, do nothing. And then maybe that's when I can boost and get a Cleary in or do whatever. It's just, it's my little backup that's going to be a cash gen, and I'm not really worried about it. Because, again, I think the halfbacks and the 5'8" are a really difficult spot this season.
Yep, I think they are for sure. I'm interested to see your 5'8" because I've seen some of your early drafts and it's got me interested.
Yeah, okay, let's go to it. Burton and Metcalf.
Burton. So Metcalf, I spoke about in one of our first preseason podcasts. I think he presents a lot of value. So obviously you see that too. But Matt Burton, I think you're a Bulldog supporter, Nelly.
Wait till you see my centre.
Oh, no.
I want a really stable pick. I think Burton is that pick. Where Bulldogs are heading as a team, I think is really, really strong. He's a goal kicker. He is. I think one thing I noticed with him a lot is I like when he starts attacking in games a lot more. Sometimes he can be sort of sit back and be a bit too placid. Yep. So I'm hoping I see more of that because I think he actually has potential to be he's already a really good player, but someone that is not just the guy that just bombs the ball. I want to see a bit more from him this season, but again, I feel like he's a very stable pick in the 5'8", and I think a lot of people are going to pick Luai and expect a lot from Luai and possibly not get a lot from Luai. I think Luai could be a very dangerous pick this season.
I tend to agree. I do like Luai, but I like him based on him being at his best running the side. And I think people going to new teams always tend to take a while to find their feet, to learn new combinations and everything like that. Whereas Matt Burton, he's at the point where this side stayed together last year. There was no chopping and changing. The year before, it was like Kyle Flanagan's halfback, Matt Burton's halfback, Jake Averillo goes 5'8". Whereas this year is the first time they've really come into a preseason knowing who the 117 is. Obviously, Tupanua comes in, so that adds a bit more to their forward depth. Leo Thompson coming in next year. I mean, it could be his breakout season. The
only thing I don't like about him is his base. That's all. Yeah, he's got a really 18 to 25-ish base. Where that means that they really need to score points as a team for him to prop up and get his value worth. But really I mean, in my opinion, like when I think you should definitely be going 3-gun fullbacks this season as your team, who else do you go instead of Burton besides like the Luai?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's more or less risk going Burton or Luai? Like, who do you think you'd be less concerned about?
I'd be less concerned about Burton. I think
Okay.
Luai has never been really SuperCoach relevant, and I understand a lot of SuperCoach's thought process because you kind of look for this thing in SuperCoach. You look for a player going to change, getting a new role, and this is when, I guess, sorts of players, when they get a new role, this is when they go to that next level in SuperCoach.
Yep.
Like Terrell May, I think we have no doubt that he's going to go to another level just based on SuperCoach. Like, he'll be the highest price front row at this time next year. I guess with Luai, we don't know that 100%. I think he will obviously be massive and he will take another level, another step for his career. But whether it translates to SuperCoach, I'm not sure.
The one thing I'm just concerned about not concerned about, but I think they need to build a bit of chemistry first. Yep. And you might see a bit of like rustiness in the first few games. I mean, if they click and they're dominating, you're scraping to get Luai most probably.
Yep.
But I just feel like, I mean, I'm going on what a general sports team would happen. It takes time to click. It takes time to work. And maybe even if they do start, doing really well in, sort of after round 4, round 5, maybe it's not Luai that's the guy there that you have to get. Maybe it could be, who knows, Galvin. You just don't know. Galvin could play at the Burton level and just start dropping 90s, 100s. Like, you just don't know.
Galvin's got the dirtiest looking goatee at the moment too. So I think that
absolutely beautiful.
That does translate to SuperCoach, in my opinion. I guess with the Tigers as well, Galvin and Api are so ball dominant. Like, maybe Luai just has a step back, just like he did at Penrith, and just lets them run the show, and he just puts them in the position they need to be. Maybe that's what he does. So we don't know with Luai. It's exciting for SuperCoach, but who knows if it's going to work out. I guess with Luke Metcalf, I guess similar to Luai in a way. Sean Johnson's not in the side now, so he could potentially take a more senior role for that Warriors side. He is $140K cheaper though.
I think, another take from me that maybe some people won't agree with. I think Warriors played better when, this is going to be very weird to say, but when SJ was not playing with them and it was Tamari Martin, is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure. TMM.
Yep.
I'll just say TMM. I felt like as a team they were playing better.
Yeah.
I think Sean Johnson is an incredible player. I'm not saying he's bad, but I felt like as a team, when I saw that happen, they were sort of a better team as a whole. Again, that's just my opinion. It could be wrong. One thing I love about Metcalf is, one, he's under 450,000, but two, he's a very attacking player. This guy is like the 5'8" that will just run and not care and go for the dummy. He's kind of very Tom Dearden-ish with the way that he likes to just throw a fake and go for it. And I think he will be a part of try assists and possible tries in the team. I think he's going to be a core part of that because he's actually super talented. With their draw, I think they have, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they don't have that. They have the Raiders, which, at Vegas, you're hoping for a lot of points there. They have Seagulls at their home. Warriors at their home is just another beast, I think. I think there's going to be, hopefully, a better season for them. Then they have the Roosters, who I think are going to give him points.
Yep.
At home, I think, again, from memory.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, at home, which is just huge because, again, and then after that, they have West Tigers, who could be another team that just let in points. So even if Metcalf doesn't just break out or just earn you cash, I don't think he's going to lose you cash. I don't think he's going to be a player that just gets 30 or 35. I think he'll kind of break even for you if he doesn't make cash. And again, I'm hoping he makes cash, but I don't think there's too much risk with him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the Warriors, like you're saying the Warriors played better with Metcalf and TMM in the side last year, and they 100% did. Sean Johnson was just too predictable for every other side, which sucks because he nearly had his swan song the year before, nearly got that Daily M, but it wasn't meant to be the next year. He obviously retired, and I think he's still retired in good faith. Obviously didn't play on too long in my opinion, but the future of the Warriors is here. Metcalf, whether TMM or Tanner Boyd gets that halfback spot, Metcalf will be a massive vocal point of that attack. So I love the Metcalf pick. I also just wanted to talk about two players, because I think people will be wondering about two players here. Yep.
And one is way back, but when we were going through like my second row, Tino, the only reason I'm not going Tino is because of the bye. That's simple. So I've sort of got like a weak jump on him.
Yep.
If he starts putting up 60 to 90s, whatever it may be, I'll heavily look at it and try and boost or do something to make it happen. If they didn't have a bye round one, he would be in my team right now. But I think because of that, I'm just not going to do it. There's also another 5'8" I wanted to speak about, because when I go through this list, I'm not sold on Jaden Campbell. I just think he's very high in price, and also the buy. TMM, I think he's done what he's done. Dylan Brown, injury. Lockie Galvin, yet to be seen. I think there's two here we really need to speak about, and I want to start with Ben Hunt. This, I'm telling you right now, Broncos are going to have a really solid start to the season, I think.
Yep, I agree.
Under the coach, the draw, they're going to score a lot of points. Correct me if I'm wrong, Reynolds is injured for...
He is, but he should be back for round one. But that being said, no Ezra Mam.
Sorry,
sorry. Ezra Mam's gone for round one, and Adam Reynolds will be, nursing through that injury leading into round one. I think Ben Hunt's that dominant ball player probably early on.
I also think he's someone who actually scored very, very well in a team that was very under par last season. If I read you, let's just go 79, 32, 77, 64, 62, 49, 118, playing for the Dragons where him and Lomax basically carried. Although his base, the problem again, he's got that sort of Burton thing. His base isn't amazing, but in a Broncos team where I guarantee you they're going to be better than the Dragons, he will be involved in a lot, especially with the Ezra Mann scenario.
I agree. And even if he's not like that dominant ball player, like his running game is so good, and based on a 60 average or something like that, I think just him being freed up, I think he can score way more tries and have, less try assists, but he'll have more line breaks. He'll have more tries. So I like that. And it's kind of why I like Reece Walsh. I'm usually really hot on certain teams early on, and the Broncos I'm really hot on. And I think with that flex position, Reece Walsh is very tempting, especially if Latrell isn't there round one. I guess we'll see.
You've already beaten me to it.
You're the one.
Exactly what I'm doing. Exactly what I'm doing. If Latrell's suspended, I'm going Walsh.
Yeah, I think I got to find that out. I've actually got it here. Just let me get it up. But let's move on to your centers while I get that up.
Can I ask you, who would you have in your team if you had to choose three? Munster, Hunt, or Dearden?
I'd probably Hunt's number one. I do like Munster, but groin injuries tend to take a lot. It'll be a slow start for Munster, in my opinion. So I like Hunt, then Munster. There's a lot of positives for Dearden, but I'm not really hot on the Cowboys.
Yeah. Okay, fair. let's go to my centers. Here we go.
Center wings.
Karaz. Starting with Karaz. This is where the points will be coming from. So I just think in terms of base, he's just incredible. Again, as you can tell, I'm not a Bulldogs fan, but I'm sort of settling on some big Bulldogs players to sort of carry a lot of points in the team. I think Karaz is just like, I'm very, very scared to go Holmes and Lomax. Obviously, I think I'm very, very scared to go Valentine way more than Lomax.
Yeah.
I don't think Parramatta I think they're going to stride into their season. I'll be very surprised without Dylan Brown if they fully just go 3-4 wins in a row, click, click, click. So I'm hoping Lomax comes down a bit in price and then I pick him up. That's my plan. But again, I'm starting off with like the two Bulls for me, who I think are just stable good, Karaz and Garrick. Garrick, I just think Manly have a great opening, I think 4 or 5 games. It's not too bad. I think they play either 2 or 3 at Pines. The only thing that really hurt Garrick was the concussions. I remember when I traded him in that game in the first 5 minutes, he got concussed, and I'm like, well, that would be bloody right. And I think he was captain.
Yeah, he was my captain too.
Yeah. So the only downfall to Garrick is the injuries, which is not a bad thing to say. It is what it is. He's also very heavily underpriced, so he's actually hopefully going to make you money. 680 for Garrick, I think, is very low for a team that can have games where they're scoring 40 to 50 points when they're on fire at Pines Park. And then Arthurs and Purdue. Again, I think Arthurs is just going to be a beneficiary of what Broncos produce. I mean, Broncos were most probably the biggest letdown team, one of last season. I feel like they just, when it was time to click and hit and go for it, they just completely fell apart. And I think they're going to have a big resurgence, especially with the new coach. Arthurs, I just think, I like Mariner more, but he's also way more in money. But I think Arthurs is just going to be a cash generation. Then I have Purdue, who I think is just a very, very, very big talent for Cowboys. He is at 257,000, so he's going to generally, I'd say he's at 90% of making you money. This guy is just a weapon. I don't want to go Laybutt because I think he's just a tiny bit too expensive and their team isn't as strong. I think he's 389,000. And I think pending preseason, Jack Bird, if he gets in at lock, he's most probably going to be in everyone's team. You can have the ability to put him in second row forwards as well, which is huge. And I'm mostly just weighing in and sitting down and thinking about Gordon for Gold Coast Titans because they do have most of their team back now. So I don't know where he's going to sort of fit or how long he's going to play for.
Yep.
So that's mostly my sit and watch because I can just put him out and put Billy Smith in instead of him. So that would be sort of what I play, or another cheapie that sort of pops up in the preseason.
Yeah, we're still pretty early into the preseason. Although we have 55 days left, I think a lot still is to unfold from here. Carter Gordon, I love the pick. I love the look of him. It really sucks how they have the bye round 1, so we won't know 100% whether he's in or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Robert Toyer, I hear reports that he's potentially going to win one of them starting centre positions, so I think that's really promising. What about Billy Smith? Is he? Well, it'll be either him and Billy Smith or Billy Smith and Mark Nwangawitawase or Nwangawitawase and Robert Toyer. So it's a 3-way battle. I assume Billy Smith has the left centre locked in my opinion. So it just depends on who wins that right centre spot. But Robert Toyer is impressing this preseason, and I've heard a lot of talk about him in previous years. So Jackson Purdue is one that is impressing for the Cowboys as well. Could potentially get a starting halfback role. As a Cowboys fan, have you seen much of him?
No. Unfortunately not.
He's played a lot of centre last year.
Yeah, I've seen him in centre. Again, I think from what I've heard, he's an absolute weapon as well. Especially with, again, the only thing I'm worried about is Cowboys' output.
Yep.
Because I don't think that if their defense doesn't get better, it's only going to get worse. And that's where, the centers are really going to start hurting. And that's why I don't want to invest in Laybut. But I could be wrong about Laybut. But I think when it comes to centers at the moment being really, really tough in the sort of basement category, Purdue's mostly a must-have in your team.
Yep. I do like Jesse Arthurs. I think because when you are hot on teams, I think you've got to go with it and kind of pick these guys. And the price is right. I think he is at his price because the Broncos did poorly last year. I think he's got the potential to be 500k plus. And Garrick, I also love. They play 5 of their first 7 games at home, and Garrick is the goal kicker, and they've got a good draw. So I absolutely love the Garrick pick. I can't fault it. And by the sounds of it,
I can't go Masu. I know people. Yeah. There might be some people going, "What about Greg? What about Gagai?" Even looking now, like I just can't see it. Like even Herbie, I think is just very overpriced, and they've let me down before, and I just don't want to do that, and that's why I think Garrick and Karaz is your pick. I think Lomax by the end of the season, Lomax and Karaz will be your top. Like they will be your 3: Garrick, Karaz, and Lomax. I'm hoping that's what it is.
Yep.
And I think that Valentine Holmes is very overpriced right now. So I just don't see Dragons doing a lot. By the way, where I might be completely off on this, but where is Sloan playing? What's happened with him?
Sloan should be playing on the right wing potentially. That's what I think is going to happen. Gutho at fullback, Sloan at the wing, and I actually really like Sloan if he's going to play on that right wing. I guess the thing is, like, Ben Hunt's not there, and that right side is strong because Ben Hunt is there. Yep. So I don't expect that right wing to get as much love.
Yeah, and I also think, something else in my team that could happen is I'm really waiting on preseason and the trials for Dodd and Ilias.
Yep.
I'm not really as hot on Ilias as I am on Dodd because I think Souths will be a better team.
Yep.
But again, they're two sort of cheapies that could easily funnel themselves into my team. But yeah, again, it's just wait and see is really at that point.
I just want to go back to Ruben Garrick. I've just done some quick maths because I haven't done any research on him this year yet. He is priced at a 69.5 average. He had 3 games last year. One score of 1 in 3 minutes, another score of 9 in 24 minutes, and another score of 15 in 28 minutes. So he's injured in 3 games with HIAs. He's priced at a 69.5. If you take them games out, it's 79.1. So based on that, you're getting Garrick for 10 points cheaper, which is...
And his base is generally quite good. On a normal game, from what I can see, he's especially at the start of the season, he was basing 42, 38, 23, 41 before the injury. Then 2 games after his injury, he went 24, 47, 36. So his base isn't that bad. I mean, It's not a Karaz, but still, for someone who's priced at what he is, and because he came back from numerous sort of injuries, I think he's personally your go-to center.
I actually like him more than Karaz, and Karaz is in my side at the moment. So,
copied me, did ya?
Well, you've got a top 5 side, so I think I should copy suit. All right, now I'm excited to see what you have left underneath. And it's exactly the same as mine.
There you go.
Look at that.
And it's Turbo, Ponga, and Mitchell. If Mitchell is suspended round 1, I will go to Reece Walsh, who I think is a bargain at the moment. I was very, very tempted to not go Mitchell and go Reece Walsh, and then, get the extra. I think it's 100, about 100 difference between them.
Yep.
Maybe even more. I can just check quickly here, but I think Reece Walsh is
738, so 130K.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
Is that not ridiculous?
It's pretty ridiculous.
Especially for their opening games, what he can do and the numbers he could produce could be really scary.
I actually think Latrell is just probably that much ahead of Walsh, SuperCoach wise. I'm actually considering.
I get what you're saying. Yes, I 100% agree. But with the injuries to Souths, they could not start as hot as what people think.
Yep.
And it's going to be a big task for Latrell to get these big scores. Whereas essentially with Broncos, you have a fully strength team besides Ezra Mann, who knows, they could be even stronger with just Ben Hunt there and Reynolds. And Walsh is just popping 120.
They could be. I guess my rebuttal to that is Latrell still averaged 89 last year, considering they were busted. They were so busted last year. But I do agree that Walsh is going to come out hot. Latrell isn't suspended for round one, so he'll take that suspension.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a headache that we're going to deal with. He'll take that suspension for the All-Stars game. So Tom Trebojevic, you've got Latrell. I mean, would you consider axing like a Ponga for Walsh, or are all these three guys in your side because you're hot on them?
That's the one thing I could do. I'm really, really close to putting Walsh in.
Yeah, I love Walsh this year.
Yeah. I just think I'm actually, out of all these three, I'm most concerned about Ponga.
Yeah.
Because I've watched that guy sometimes literally walk around the park and not do anything for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And then realize the team's down by 4 with 20 minutes to go and go, I'll just start trying now. Really weird. It's really weird. I just want to check with Ponga how he started. I think he didn't start that great last season because I had him. So he went 50, 45, 86 in the first three. And that was against Canberra and North Queensland in the first two, then Melbourne. That's what worries me. Sometimes he takes a bit to get going.
Yep.
But then he goes off and goes 117, 91, that gets injured for a 14.
Yeah, that start to the season was really concerning, and I think compared to Walsh, are you confident that the Newcastle Knights are going to start hot?
No,
I don't
definitely not.
I hate the look of their side, to be honest.
The only thing I like is that they're versing Dolphins at home in their second game. They're versing West Tigers at West Tigers home in their first, which you don't know. If West Tigers come out and drop 30 and it's 30-12 or 30-6, and Ponga gets a 40, you're kind of banking on the Dolphins game for him to just pop 100. And then after that, they have Titans at Titans home, which isn't going to be any easier. But I'm now that we're talking about it, I'm very close to just taking Ponga out.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it already.
Are you serious?
I did it because I'm trying to shift things around to get Blake Brayley into my side.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps. And I think just I don't know what Walsh's ownership is going to be, but I don't know. I just like him.
I mean, if I do it, it gives me 101,000 remaining salary versus I think the 49, which is also nice.
And that'll give you the cash to move your second rowers that you decide to.
Exactly right. But again, if Tigers come out very stale and the chemistry's not there, and Ponga and Newcastle actually play well, it also could just be a very high-scoring game where West Tigers win 28-24, and you're like, Ponga just netted me 160 points. This is what SuperCoach is. You know what I mean? You can't always go off the draw. I think SuperCoach-wise, Ponga is just the better player.
Yep.
But I mean, that's mostly my biggest decision out of the whole team is mostly the Reece Walsh versus the Ponga.
Yep. I guess go with Billy. Billy went with Walsh, so I think we've got to channel our inner Billy. Inner Billy, you're still a Queenslander. You're a Queenslander now, so I think you've got to channel your inner Billy. But
I don't know. Scary.
I think, there's still water to go under the bridge. We'll see how we go. And things might change. But that's your team reveal.
Yeah, I will just say one more name. Quickly.
You can say one more name.
AJ Brimson.
You like ready. AJ Brimson?
Very much.
I saw a report today that they're reportedly going to play AJ Brimson and Jaden Campbell in the halves.
I take it all back. Have a good day, everyone.
No, I want to get some things off you first. I want to get your top 3 breakout players for the year. You did mention that you want to kind of look for this, but I
really like Lindsay. Yeah, I think Lindsay Smith is very, very good. White for the Roosters, I think he could easily go to 550, 600K. Cohen Hess, I'm going there.
Yeah,
I think Hess is going to have very solid minutes, and if he doesn't get injured, he will be one of the guys that really makes you a lot of money this season. Obviously, I mean, we won't really talk about the Parramatta fullback. I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name. He's just like a pure cash cow, 200,000, I think it is. Like, I don't think he's going to break out heavily, but I think Hess, Smith, White, they're like a very solid 3 for me.
I like it. I guess we didn't talk about Iongi early, but if enough cheapies fall our way, you're obviously happy to let him go.
Yeah, because I should have spoken about this, but I think you're in a better position if you have 3 gun fullbacks and you need to trade down to Iongi, rather than if you have 2 fullbacks with Iongi and you want to try and then catch people for the 3rd big fullback. Like, how do you find that money? So I think like logically, if this guy goes 80, 120 and Ponga does bad, I'm like, cool, I'll go down to Ponga, put Iongi in, net whatever it is, and then I've got cash free. But if I'm going the other way and I'm someone who's got Nathan Cleary, Hines, and you've got Iongi in your flex and he pops out a 30, a 40, and like a 35, and people have got Walsh who's dropping a 90 and so on and so forth, you're like, that it's essentially how you could easily lose the season in the first 3 rounds by that happening. I think I thought about it a lot. I think the most obvious way to play it this season is by having 3 gun fullbacks. And if I don't think you do that, you're going to be left way behind.
I 100% agree. I think you opened my eyes up to that. You were sold on that from the get-go. And I just think, you're kind of wasting yourself by putting a cheapie at fullback. You're better off going down to him if he does kill it. I've got one more question for you before we go. You've obviously performed in front of a lot of people in the past. You've performed in front of thousands of people with your music. But I've got a hypothetical for you. Would you prefer to perform in front of 90,000 people at a sold-out, Madison Square Garden, or would you prefer to win the Clive Churchill on grand final day at a core stadium?
Clive Churchill.
Wow.
Yeah. Give me the medal.
I said exactly the same thing, but I thought your answer could be different. No. You're a true footy fan. You're a true Australian.
Yeah. Give me the Clive Churchill. Put me in halfback. I'll get it done.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm sure it's a surprise to a lot of people you play SuperCoach, so I appreciate you for coming on. And I'll definitely check up with you throughout the year and see how you're going, because I think a lot of people will be keen to know.
Reece Walsh.
That's it. That's going to be our man.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. See you later.